What a difference from living in a big house considered a villa with 3 cats surrounded by jungle, wild animals, beautiful nature. Here is the video about the house from our last trusted house sitter's job. So what a difference from that to living in a high-rise Airbnb apartment on the 40th floor surrounded by the city. What a difference. It's crazy. You hear the traffic from the 40th floor. You hear it like it's right next to you. But it's not. But, well, sound travels up. Door is closed. This is what we hear on the 40th floor from the traffic. Not right now, but sometimes there's a really loud motorcycle. By the way, right now we are in Batam, Indonesia on the 25th floor, and we can also hear the traffic, but I don't think as bad as we did in Malaysia. Honestly, I don't remember. Anyways, back to the Airbnb in Malaysia. Of course, I was so tired when we arrived on May 30th, 2025, around 9:30 p.m. in Malaysia. And it was so hard falling asleep without cats in my bed. I already miss them so much, and I still do. I still miss those cats from Mae Rim, Thailand. Well, eventually I did fall asleep, but I didn't sleep well at all. And the next morning I got woken up around 6 a.m. by a mosque that was close by. Oh yeah, spoilers, here in Indonesia we have tons of mosques out there too, like in Malaysia, but we barely hear them. In Malaysia, you could hear them. We had an apartment at the Grand Meritus homestay in Penang, Malaysia. Not on Penang Island, Georgetown. No. In Kampung Surau, I think that is the village. In Perai, that's a suburb in the state of Penang on the mainland. Of course, on the mainland, it's much cheaper. That's why we chose an Airbnb there and not on the island where Georgetown is and all the tourists. We stayed there from May 30th until June 19th, 2025. The kitchen is always the most important thing. Not this time. For only 20 days, I decided I'd rather have a shitty kitchen, but 2 separate rooms, so my own bedroom, but a shitty kitchen. We saw other places with much better kitchens, but only 1 bedroom, or more like a studio. So I chose that shitty kitchen, but my own room. So I'm on a very strict diet and I can't just eat whatever without risking me to get really sick. So I basically cook everything for myself. Every day I cook. But as I mentioned, I chose the shitty kitchen, so I expected the shitty kitchen, that's okay. So the fridge was tiny and the freezer even tinier, you could barely fit anything in it. But the fridge was set so cold that in the back of the fridge, it also froze the stuff. So it was also like a freezer. That was actually kind of cool. Then there was just a hot plate. That's what I expected. I wish there was just a normal, regular hot plate. But no, of course, it had to be induction. I fucking hate induction. Okay, here I'm trying to cook a stew. First of all, I only have this little pan. And oh yeah, here. So if I go, it's boiling like crazy. I go 1 lower. And you see, it stops. And you see, there's barely any water in here. Oh, now it starts again. But then it stops, it starts, it stops, it starts. So that's why I do 1 higher, so at least it boils all the time. But I can't, I have to show you. You see, there's barely any water in here. Because, well, I can fill it up now. This is what I keep doing. It's like so annoying. So I think this is the most water I can put in. It's like barely half or a little bit more than half, because I can't put in more water because otherwise it would boil over. I can't put on a lid. I don't have a lid, but I can put this on, but then this motherfucker turns off. So here I keep having hot water in the water cooker and I just keep adding water when it gets down. But so now this would be so much better if I would just have a normal regular hot plate, because a normal regular hot plate stays hot for so long. Because yeah, I actually need to do that now. So I'm gonna fill this up again with this is pretty cool here. Drinking water here that goes through a filter. Well, we hope it's good. I tried it tastes okay. So this is cool, so we don't have to buy water. I love that. So, but now I need to cook, I need to use that one. I'm not gonna unplug this. This is the fridge. So I have to unplug my hot plate. And now, so I'm gonna unplug it, and it's done. It's not gonna work anymore because it's a fucking induction bullshit one. So now I can do this. And if I would have a regular hot plate, it would stay hot for so long after you turn it off or you unplug it. It would still cook and cook and cook. Well, the only thing I can do is I can cover it to wait until this one is done, and then I have to switch again. Well, I figured out I can put a lid on it, or well, something, as long as it has enough water in there. You see, it just keeps doing this. Then it stops again. So it just keeps doing that, but now at least I can leave it for a while and don't have to always add water. And if the water would be evaporated and then it gets too dry, then it turns off by itself. So when you wanna like fry a steak in here without water or ground beef, if it gets too dry, it will turn off. So yeah, I figured it out now how stupid this thing is. Well, I already knew how stupid it is, but now I figured it out how its stupidity works. I thought there was an oven. Sadly, no, it was just a microwave. So sad. I so wanted to roast some meat in the oven. But hey, just for 20 days, I don't care. I don't think we ever used the microwave. No, never. And there was a kettle to make hot water, like everywhere we've been so far. I think that's very important to us now. We can make it in a pan, but it's much easier in a kettle. Paul drinks coffee and tea and then just hot water, and I drink just hot water. So a kettle is always great. And so far, as mentioned, I think we had it everywhere, but I think we didn't have it in Montenegro. I think there was one, but it was broken. Or like somewhere we didn't. I remember somewhere we used a pan. In every Airbnb, first I wash all the dishes that we are planning to use. So it depends how many dishes there are, but usually I don't wash everything. I just wash the ones we are planning to use and a little bit more. Because so far, I don't think I've ever seen an Airbnb that was really super clean. And I always found something on a plate or a fork or whatever. So, and you don't know who was there before. So I always do that. I also have to say here, well, we always get the cheapest Airbnb with a kitchen. So we don't get expensive Airbnbs, so we can't expect expensive stuff or like super clean, I know. Oh, what I hate so much about Airbnbs that have a kitchen. Almost none of them provide a kitchen towel. How the fuck do you want to cook without at least one towel in the kitchen? No, really, you need to clean stuff. You need to, I don't know, you need a fucking towel. I fucking hate that. Except I think one provided kitchen towels. Yeah, so far, I think one, but usually none. And also in Malaysia, there were none. So I always just use a bathroom towel. Yeah, because that's what they provide. So okay, I use one of those. But at least in Malaysia, there was lots of washing detergent there. Because dishwashing detergent, that's also something a lot of Airbnbs so far didn't have a lot, or just tiny bit. But that was more in Europe. I remember Turkey. There we didn't have enough dishwasher detergent at all, and also other places. But I think it's mainly in Europe. So we will see in the future, still here in Asia, how it looks with dishwashing detergent. Oh yeah, so, but the dishwashing detergent in Malaysia was absolute shit. You needed so much of it to be really able to clean well. So first I thought they diluted it, you know, to make it last longer. But no, Paul and I then we looked at it and we don't think they diluted it. It's just that shitty. We had a washing machine in that Airbnb, but the Airbnb only had a tiny bit of washing machine detergent left. But so Paul usually always uses very little of detergent anyways, because I'm so sensitive to smells and scents and all that, and I don't like any. I always prefer the detergents that are scentless. I mean, they still have a scent, but it's much better. So the little bit that was left, that still worked for 2 loads for us. So we could split it, and yeah, because I told him not to use very much anyways. And we were only staying there for 20 days. So it was like perfect. We just used all that up. That was all we needed. We are also used to do just hand wash our stuff. We've done that the whole time we stayed in Montenegro and other places. And yeah, we don't own a lot of clothes, so we have to hand wash certain things at some time. Even when we have a washing machine available, Paul still does hand wash for his own clothes because he doesn't have a lot of certain things. I think socks and underwear. I don't know. I have much more. There was only one roll of toilet paper. We definitely had to buy more of that, but there was more than enough shower gel and shampoo. We have a shower with warm, not hot water, but warm water, but we don't need more because it's actually pretty hot, and I shower after the gym where I'm sweaty, so I don't even need it. I actually wish the water would be even colder, but yeah, the shower is here right where the toilet paper is, and yeah, it gets wet. It's kind of stupid. We do get, these are mine of course, but we have lots of shower gel, lots of shampoo. See the big bottles, this is nice, but nothing really something to put the stuff on. Oh, and I loved how much pressure the water had that came out of the sink. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, so like in so many places in Asia, through the faucet, you didn't get cold or hot water. It was just like room temperature, coldish, I don't know, like just one temperature. You couldn't make it colder, you couldn't make it hotter. That's actually a lot like that in Asia with the faucets. So for doing the dishes, I always also used some of the boiled water from the kettle, mixed it up with some of the other water so I didn't burn my hands to wash the dishes, because otherwise you don't get stuff clean when you don't use hot water. There are a lot of Muslims, and as mentioned, where we were staying, we could see a lot of mosques. Okay, Paul found a lot of mosques. So we have here number 1, number 2, number 3, the tower, number 4, another tower there. Number 5, the big one. Number 6. Is there more? Apparently one more. Where? Number 7. Is that a mosque? So we could hear the prayers, not as loud as in other countries we've stayed before, for example, I think Turkey, but we could still hear them, and sometimes, as mentioned, they woke us up in the morning. So the morning prayer, the Fajr, or I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, that one gets performed between dawn and sunrise. So sometimes that one woke us up, but not too often. It was okay. And we only stayed there for 20 days. And hey, it's a different country, different religions, different rules. It's okay. I kept being either too hot or too cool in my room. We each had our own AC units in our own rooms, so I could turn it on and off however I wanted it, and I even could set it to half degrees, so like 24, 24 and a half, 25, like this. And that's usually the problem between Paul and I. We always argue about the AC. He always wants it colder than I do, except I have a hot flash. Then I also want it colder, but he's okay with that. So, but I had so many problems with that AC unit. So as mentioned, I was either too cold or too hot. And the reason for that was because the AC unit didn't start or turned off when it should have. So let me explain. So for example, I set the AC unit at 25.5. It didn't come on when it was 26 degrees to cool it down. No, it probably waited till 27, 27 and a half. I don't know, just way too late. And also, again, let's say I set it at 25.5. It didn't stop at 25. It maybe went down to 24 or even more. So I got cold again. So it's just like, yeah, I was either too cold or too hot, I remember. So I was constantly changing the AC temperatures up and down because I just didn't feel comfortable. But here I also have to mention I still have hormonal problems, hot flashes, not so much anymore, but also cold shivers from having 2 pituitary gland tumors. Here is the first video of 4 videos how I got rid of my second pituitary gland tumor in Istanbul, Turkey, and that's also where and how our nomad life began. Well, it could also be that I just didn't really know how to use the AC unit correctly. And it was also pretty loud. Even though I usually had it on the lowest strength, you know, blowing the lowest strength, it was still quite loud for me and I had to get used to it, especially during the night. So I'm super sensitive to sounds, especially when they come from above me. That's the worst for me. So we were staying on the 40th floor, but there were still 2 floors above us. But I couldn't hear anything from above me. Nothing at all. I was so happy about that. Sometimes I heard noise, or not even noise, I just heard stuff from outside the door, from the hallway, or from next to the room or something, but it wasn't bad at all. Wasn't bad at all. Oh yeah, that was kind of crazy. We couldn't even hear each other from the rooms. So our rooms were next to each other, right? Our bedrooms. And when we both latched our doors, we couldn't hear each other. So I once or twice called Paul on the phone, and he was just the room next to me, and he picked up, and I could hear him through the phone, but I couldn't hear him talk. And he usually has not a loud voice, but it carries, like his voice. Yeah, when he's on the phone, he has a loud voice and it carries. But I couldn't hear a thing. And the same here with me. We could just hear each other through the phone, of course, but not, from the other room. That was kind of crazy. But the smells. Unfortunately, the smells got through the doors. I'm talking about strong aftershave, cologne, or something smell that got through the door from the people next to us. Yes, unfortunately, I'm also super crazy sensitive to smells and scents, even more than to noise. And it also started earlier. Yeah, unfortunately, suddenly my Asperger's got worse. But Paul actually thinks it's because of the tumors I had, that they changed my brain somewhat. I didn't have any brain tumors, pituitary gland tumors, but they're right underneath the brain. Well, they're attached to the brain, so the brain probably gets some impact as well. Anyways, these smells came through that connecting door. We think it used to be one big apartment and then they made 2 apartments out of it. So there was a connecting door in our apartment for the other, but it was, of course, it was locked and there was like foam or something over it, I think, to cancel out more of the noise. And of course, that door was right when I got out from my room. It was right there. So the smells were always lingering in front of that door all the time. And sometimes they even got to the kitchen. So I actually tried to cook stews all the time. Every day I tried to cook stews because those I cook for a long time. So I get some stew smell, some beef smell out of there, and not that cologne aftershave or whatever it was. And yes, cooking smells bother me too, but not when I cook. When I cook, they don't bother me, except I go outside the room, the apartment, whatever, and they come in, then it's like, whoa, but I get used to it quite fastly again when I cook. When someone else cooks, I have problems. But that smell in Malaysia wasn't nearly as bad what we had to endure in Montenegro, in Ultin. Here's the video about slumming it in Montenegro. Oh, my bed was super comfortable. It was a hard bed, what I prefer, what I like, but not as hard as in Thailand. In Thailand, it was a little bit too hard. I always sleep on my side, so it hurt my hip a bit in Thailand, but I just put the pillow underneath it and that was fine. But in Malaysia, the beds, or at least that bed I had with the mattress, was perfect. Not too hard, not too soft, it was great. But Paul complained about his bed, that it hurt his back. He said it's much harder than mine, the one I had. And they tried it. I was like, oh yeah, holy shit, his bed was much harder. But I wouldn't say harder than in Thailand. But Paul said the one in Malaysia hurt his back a lot, quite a lot. But in Thailand, those beds didn't hurt his back. I had to laugh. So I had a lamp in my room with an American plug. So you couldn't use it. I mean, we brought adapters from all over the world. We have adapters from all over the world, but we brought them so I could actually use the lamp. But if you don't have that, you can't use the lamp there because it has an American plug, and that's totally different than the Malaysian outlets, or however you call them. So I had to laugh. Why was there, or is there, an American lamp in Malaysia in that Airbnb? Oh, when we got to the Airbnb, there were so many really teeny ants on that table, even though it got cleaned before we got there, and the Airbnb was actually pretty clean. We had much worse, but we did do a pretty good job to keep those ants off from the table while we were there. So on the 6th floor, there was an outdoor calisthenic place, a basketball court, a swimming pool, barbecue area, and a gym. We didn't use the barbecue area because you had to reserve it like 48 hours in advance. And then also you got the grill for it. The grill was missing, so I think you had to reserve it, and then you got the grill for it. So like, oh, no, too complicated. Let's not do that. There was a book where you had to sign in before using the basketball court, swimming pool, or gym. I never used the pool because of lots of Muslims living there. There were strict rules. Men, they weren't allowed to wear Speedos. Thank you. And women, they had to cover their hair, and only one-piece swimsuits were allowed. I only have a bikini with me. I actually would love a one-piece swimsuit. I'm looking for one right now. And I don't have a swim cap, so I don't know how to, it would have been too complicated. Oh yeah, and t-shirts are also not allowed in the pool. So I was like, just no, fuck it, I'm not gonna use it. The gym, of course, we used. Hey, it was for free, well, included in the Airbnb price. It had one set of dumbbell free weights and only very little machines, and one was even broken. Lots of cardio machines, of course, like almost everywhere in those gyms, and we never use those because we usually do enough cardio by walking around, by looking at stuff. Or in Malaysia, there was close enough from us, like a 15-minute walk, there was a mall with a hypermarket, and that's where we usually went shopping. So back and forth 30 minutes, that's enough cardio for us. But still, we were so happy having that gym available in the same building we were living, so we didn't have to get any Grab or walk for I don't know how long to get to a gym. So we were super happy having that gym. And for the first time, I think, since that entire nomad life, I was actually able to put in a really hard workout again. No, that's not true. In Serbia, I also did hard workouts, but for a long time, I couldn't do any hard workouts anymore. I started to feel better, and in Malaysia, I could start to really work out again. So I was just overjoyed. It was fun, and I put together a hard, cool workout for me. Actually, Paul put it more together than me. We both did, I think. Yeah, it sucks so much when you can only train for recovery and maintenance. You can't make any progress. You basically just train so you don't lose any more muscle mass because you already lost so much muscle mass, and it's just maintaining. Or you recover again because you were sick or you were whatever. So usually for me, it's training for recovery, training for maintenance, because I'm not fit enough and stable enough to do more. And that, it's so important. It's so important. But it sucks so much because you just don't get anywhere. You can't make any progress. So I was overjoyed there. I had good workouts. So that little gym didn't have any music. So for the first time since we started our Nomad Life on March 30th, 2024, I listened to my own music, my workout music in my iPod again. Haven't listened to that for so long. Of course, I had to charge the iPod first, but it still worked. It still works. I'm using it here too in Indonesia. So it was great hearing that music again, my workout music. I felt great. There was a heart rate guide hung up at the gym. It only went to 45 years old. What the fuck? It's so important after 45 to keep training, to keep working out, to stay healthy. There was also a locker room, and even a sauna was there in the locker room. Super cool, but we never used it. Once I had a dove on the air conditioning unit on my balcony, and it stayed there for about 40 minutes. Even when the air conditioning came on, and you know, it makes a sound, it just stayed there. But then a bit later, it shit on my balcony and it flew away. And some days later, I saw another dove, or the same dove maybe, up there on the 40th floor on the air conditioner unit. Oh, and unfortunately, it was too fast, so I couldn't film it. But there was also once a lizard crawling up the wall outside my balcony on the 40th floor. I didn't think I would see a lizard so high up. Stay happy, stay healthy.